A wealthy individual disguised himself as a modest man and visited a luxury car dealership to purchase a high-end vehicle, observing how the staff treated him. It was a bright morning in New York City when the glass doors of Prestige Autos swung open. The dealership, located on the main avenue, was an impressive three-story building with a glass and steel facade reflecting the sunlight, momentarily dazzling passers-by. Inside, the atmosphere was one of luxury and sophistication. The most expensive and exclusive cars on the market were displayed in a white marble showroom, illuminated by LED lights that highlighted every curve and angle of their bodies. The scent of new leather and vanilla air freshener filled the air, creating an atmosphere of exclusivity. Salespeople, dressed in tailored suits and shiny shoes, moved through the showroom with an air of superiority, ready to serve the wealthy clientele who frequented the place. Subscribe to the channel and click on the notification. Help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. This way YouTube will deliver this content to more people who will benefit. I count on your help. Among them were John Sullivan and Peter Grant, known as the dealership's top salesmen. At the reception desk, a young woman in her mid-20s with brown hair neatly tied in a bun and expressive green eyes organized some papers. Her name was Emily Carter, and although she had been working there for a short time, she had already earned the respect of her colleagues for her efficiency and friendly demeanor with clients. Suddenly, the doors opened, and a middle-aged man entered, dressed in a worn-out shirt, jeans, and scuffed shoes. His gray hair was unkempt, and he had a few days' worth of beard growth. Despite his shabby appearance, his blue eyes had an intense gaze. John and Peter exchanged looks of disdain upon seeing the newcomer. The man started walking through the showroom, observing the cars with interest. When he approached a shiny red sports car, John could no longer contain himself. "Excuse me, sir," he said in a condescending tone. "Can I help you with something?" The man turned and smiled amiably. "Yes, I'm interested in buying a car." Peter joined the conversation, chuckling slightly. "Are you sure you're in the right place? Our cars are quite exclusive." The man didn't seem fazed by the comment. "I'm sure. In fact, I'd like to see the most expensive model you have." John and Peter exchanged another look, this time of incredulity mixed with scorn. "Sir," John said with false patience, "perhaps it would be better to look elsewhere. Our cars start in the six-figure range." "I understand," the man calmly replied, "but I insist on seeing your best model." Peter, losing patience, retorted, "Look, it's obvious you can't afford anything here. We suggest you leave before we have to call security." The man looked at both salesmen with an unreadable expression, then, without saying anything further, turned and headed for the exit. But before reaching the door, he stopped in front of the reception desk. Emily, who had observed the scene with disapproval, smiled kindly at him. "Can I help you with something, sir?" The man returned the smile. "Yes, actually, I'd like to speak with a manager, if possible." "I'm sorry, the manager is in a meeting at the moment," Emily replied, "but I can take your name and number, and I'll make sure he contacts you as soon as possible." "I would appreciate that," said the man. "My name is David Harris. Here's my card." Emily took the card and noted the information on the computer. "Perfect, Mr. Harris. I'll ensure the manager receives your message." "Thank you, miss." The man paused, reading the name on Emily Carter's badge. "You've been very kind." With a final smile, David Harris left the dealership, leaving behind some satisfied salesmen who believed they had protected their exclusive space, and a receptionist intrigued by the mysterious visitor. What none of them knew was that this seemingly insignificant encounter was about to trigger a series of events that would change their lives forever. Meanwhile, in his luxurious office on the top floor of a skyscraper across the city, a man in an impeccable suit looked out the window with an enigmatic smile on his face. It was Michael Langford, the owner of the company that manufactured the luxury cars sold at Prestige Autos. He had just hung up the phone after a conversation with his old friend David Harris. "It's done," he murmured to himself before returning to his desk to start planning his next move. 3 days had passed since David Harris's visit to Prestige Autos, and life at the dealership had returned to its usual routine. John and Peter boasted about their latest sales while Emily continued serving clients with her characteristic friendliness. It was mid-morning when the dealership doors opened again, and to everyone's surprise, David Harris entered once more. This time, however, he wore a more elegant casual suit, and his beard was perfectly trimmed. Even so, John and Peter recognized him immediately. "It can't be," Peter murmured through clenched teeth. "What's this guy doing here again?" John, however, saw an opportunity. "Wait," he said to his colleague. "Look how he's dressed now. Maybe we were too hasty the other day. Let me handle it." With a rehearsed smile, John approached David. "Good morning, sir. Welcome back to Prestige Autos. How can we assist you today?" David looked at John with a neutral expression. "Good morning. I'd like to know if I can speak with a manager." John's smile faltered for a moment. "I'm afraid the manager is in an important meeting at the moment, but I'm sure I can help with any questions you have about our vehicles." "I appreciate the offer," David replied, "but I insist on speaking with a manager. It's quite urgent." Before John could respond, Emily approached. "Mr. Harris, what a pleasure to see you again," she said with a genuine smile. "I'm sorry to inform you that the manager is still in a series of important meetings this week. Can I take a more detailed message for him?" David returned the smile. "Thank you, Miss Carter. I appreciate your help. In that case, I'll come back another time." As David headed for the exit, John couldn't resist making one last attempt. "Mr. Harris, if you're interested in any of our models, I'd be delighted to show you our collection." David stopped and turned to John. "Thank you, but that won't be necessary. I know these cars quite well." With that, he left the dealership, leaving John perplexed and Emily even more intrigued. What none of them knew was that, meanwhile, in the manager's office, a conversation was taking place that would change the course of Prestige Autos. The manager, a man in his 50s named William Price, sat at his desk, pale and sweaty. In front of him, a tall, thin man with fine-framed glasses looked at him seriously. "Mr. Price," the man said, "I'm Andrew Collins, a business consultant from Langford Industries. I'm here to inform you that, as of today, our company will cease supplying vehicles to Prestige Autos." William felt as if he had been punched in the stomach. "But why? We are one of your most successful distributors. Our sales are excellent." Andrew adjusted his glasses. "The reasons are confidential, Mr. Price. I can only say that this decision comes directly from the top of Langford Industries." "There must be some mistake," William insisted, desperate. "Could I speak with someone from the board, perhaps Mr. Langford?" "I'm afraid that won't be possible," Andrew interrupted. "The decision is final. You will be able to sell your current stock, but you will receive no further shipments. Good day, Mr. Price." With that, Andrew stood up and left the office, leaving William slumped in his chair, trying to process what had just happened. Meanwhile, on the sales floor, John and Peter were discussing the mysterious David Harris. "I'm telling you, there's something strange about that guy," Peter insisted. "Why does he keep insisting on seeing the manager?" "Maybe he's an eccentric buyer," John suggested. "I've heard stories of millionaires who dress down to avoid attention." "Or maybe he's a con artist," Peter replied. "Either way, I don't like him." Emily, who had been listening to the conversation, couldn't help but intervene. "Can you consider that maybe he's just a customer who deserves to be treated with respect, regardless of his appearance?" Both salesmen looked at her in surprise, not used to the receptionist expressing her opinion. "Emily," John said condescendingly, "you don't understand how this business works. We know how to identify real customers." "Yes," Peter added, "and that guy is not a real customer. He's a waste of time." Emily was about to respond when the manager's office door suddenly opened. William Price emerged with a distraught expression, muttering to himself. All the employees fell silent with concern. "Emergency meeting," William announced in a trembling voice. "Everyone to the conference room now." As the employees headed to the conference room, a sense of unease spread through the dealership. No one knew what was happening, but everyone could feel that something big was about to happen. At that moment, miles away in Michael Langford's office, David Harris sat with a smile on his face. "How was your visit, old friend?" Michael asked. "Exactly as we expected," David replied. "I think it's time to move to the next phase of our plan." Michael nodded, his expression a mix of determination and something that seemed almost like sadness. "So be it. It's time for Prestige Autos to learn a valuable lesson." And so, while Prestige Autos prepared for a meeting that would change their lives, the gears of a larger plan continued to turn, leading everyone to a destiny no one could predict. As the tension mounted in the conference room at Prestige Autos, the employees exchanged worried glances, unsure of what was to come. Emily sat quietly in a corner, observing John and Peter whispering, likely speculating about the reason for the meeting. Finally, William entered the room, his normally confident and authoritative demeanor now showing signs of stress and concern. He paused in front of everyone, took a deep breath, and began to speak. "Colleagues, I have news that will significantly impact our business," he said with a trembling voice. "A few moments ago, I received a visit from a representative of Langford Industries. They informed us that they have decided to cut commercial ties with us." A murmur of shock and confusion rippled through the room. Langford Industries was Prestige Auto's main supplier, responsible for over 80% of the vehicles they sold. What does this mean exactly? John asked, his usual confidence replaced by evident worry. William sighed. It means we will no longer receive shipments of vehicles from Langford Industries. We can sell our current stock, but after that. But that's impossible. Peter interrupted. We're their most successful distributor in the region. Why would they do something like this? They didn't give me a clear reason, William replied. They only said the decision came directly from the top of the company. Emily, who had been listening intently, raised her hand. Mr. Price, do you think this has anything to do with the man who has been visiting the dealership, Mr. Harris? All eyes turned to her as William frowned. What man are you talking about, Emily? Emily explained the 2 visits by David Harris, his insistence on speaking with a manager, and how he was treated by John and Peter. As she spoke, William's face shifted from confusion to realization and then to anger. You're telling me a man came twice, specifically asking for me, and no one informed me? William's voice rose with each word. John and Peter squirmed uncomfortably in their seats. We thought he was just a drifter the first time, John defended, and the second time, well, you were in meetings. That's no excuse. William exploded. Do you have any idea what you've done? This David Harris could be the key to all this. The manager ran a hand through his hair, visibly frustrated. I need to review the security camera footage. I want to see exactly how this man was treated. As William hurried out of the room, the rest of the employees began to discuss among themselves, trying to grasp the severity of the situation. Emily approached John and Peter. I told you we should treat every customer with respect, she reminded them. Peter looked at her disdainfully. Don't start, Emily. You have no idea how this business works. Maybe it's time to change how it works, she replied before walking away. Meanwhile, in Michael Langford's office, the automotive industry magnate listened attentively to David Harris's report. So, how did they react on your second visit? Michael asked. David smiled slightly. The salesman who kicked me out the first time tried to be friendly, but it was clearly fake. The receptionist, however, was genuinely kind on both occasions. Michael nodded thoughtfully. Interesting. And the manager? Did you ever get to see him? No, David replied. Apparently, he was always in meetings, or so they told clients they didn't deem important. David added with a tone of disdain. Well, I think it's time to move to the next phase of our plan, Michael said. David looked at his friend with curiosity. Michael, are you sure you want to go through with this? I know Prestige Autos has been one of your most important distributors for years. Michael stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city stretching below them. David, when I started in this business, I promised I'd never forget where I came from, that I'd treat every person with respect, regardless of their appearance or social status. Prestige Autos forgot this fundamental principle. He turned to his friend, his expression a mix of determination and sadness. Sometimes the only way to teach a lesson is with a firm hand. Prestige Autos needs to learn that respect and empathy are as important as sales. David nodded, understanding his friend's position. What's the next step, then? We'll give them one last opportunity, Michael replied. Tomorrow, you'll go to the dealership again. This time, I'll accompany you. The following morning, as the sun barely peeked over the horizon, Michael Langford and David Harris arrived at Prestige Autos. The dealership was just opening, and the staff was already buzzing with activity, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy despite the tension from the previous day's meeting. Emily was at her desk, greeting customers with her usual warmth, when she noticed the 2 men entering. Her heart skipped a beat as she recognized them. Mr. Harris, welcome back, she greeted with a warm smile, then turned to the other man. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Prestige Autos. How can I assist you? The older man returned her smile. Good morning, Miss Carter. My name is Michael Langford. I'd like to speak with a manager, if possible. Hearing the name, Emily felt her heart leap. Michael Langford, the owner of Langford Industries, was standing right in front of her. Maintaining her composure, she replied, Of course, Mr. Langford. Let me check if Mr. Price is available. As Emily hurried to William's office, John and Peter, who had been watching the scene from a distance, exchanged a look of shock and dread. Is that? Peter started. Yes, John confirmed, his voice barely a whisper. We're in big trouble. William Price emerged from his office like a bolt of lightning upon hearing who was in the dealership. His heart raced as he approached the 2 men. Mr. Langford, Mr. Harris, he greeted, trying to remain calm. It's an honor to have you here. Please come to my office. As the three men headed to the office, William signaled for Emily to join them. Once inside, with the door closed, the silence became almost palpable. Michael Langford was the first to speak. "Mr. Price, I assume you know why we're here." William nodded, his face pale. "Mr. Langford, I assure you, whatever has happened, we can resolve it. Prestige Autos has been a loyal partner for years." Michael raised his hand, interrupting him. "Mr. Price, loyalty is important, yes, but more important is how we treat people. My friend David here witnessed firsthand how your dealership treats clients who don't look the part." David spoke up. "I must say, Mr. Price, I'm disappointed. I came here twice asking to speak with you, and on both occasions I was treated with disdain by your salesman." William sank into his chair, defeated. "I know, and I can't express how sorry I am. I've seen the recordings and—" "Recordings?" Michael arched an eyebrow. "Yes," William replied. "We have security cameras throughout the dealership. When I learned of the incident, I reviewed the footage, and, well, it was disheartening to see how my staff treated Mr. Harris." Michael and David exchanged a glance. This was something they hadn't anticipated. "Mr. Price," Michael said, his tone slightly softer, "could we see these recordings?" Over the next hour, the four of them watched the interactions between David and the Prestige Autos staff. Michael and David noted the disdainful treatment from John and Peter, but also noticed something else, the consistent kindness of Emily. When they finished watching the footage, Michael turned to Emily. "Miss Carter, isn't it?" Emily nodded nervously. "Yes, sir. I must commend you," Michael continued. "Your treatment of Mr. Harris was exemplary on both occasions. It's refreshing to see someone who understands the importance of respect and empathy in business." Emily blushed at the compliment. "Thank you, Mr. Langford. I just do my job." Michael smiled. "And you do it exceptionally well." He then turned to William. "Mr. Price, I think we have much to discuss about the future of our business relationship." William nodded, bracing himself for the worst. However, Michael's next words surprised him. "I was about to sever all ties with Prestige Autos," Michael said, "but after seeing these recordings and meeting Miss Carter, I believe there might be hope for your dealership." David interjected. "Michael, are you sure?" "After everything we've seen," Michael nodded. "I'm sure, old friend. I believe that with the right changes, Prestige Autos can become a model of excellence in customer service." He turned to William. "Mr. Price, I'm willing to give Prestige Autos one last chance, but with conditions." William, relieved yet cautious, asked, "What conditions, Mr. Langford?" "First," Michael began, "I want you to implement a customer service training program for all your staff. Second, the two salesmen who mistreated Mr. Harris must be appropriately disciplined. And third," he paused, looking at Emily, "I want Miss Carter to lead this training program and be promoted to a position where she can have more influence on the company culture." Emily's eyes widened in surprise, while William nodded vigorously. "Of course, Mr. Langford. I'll do everything you say." Michael smiled. "Excellent. David and I will be closely monitoring Prestige Autos' progress over the coming months. Don't disappoint us." As Michael and David prepared to leave, Emily gathered the courage to speak. "Mr. Langford, Mr. Harris, thank you for this opportunity. I promise I won't let you down." David smiled warmly at her. "I'm sure you won't, Miss Carter. You have a natural talent for this." When the two men left, William sank into his chair, exhaling a long sigh of relief, then looked at Emily with a mixture of gratitude and respect. "Well, Miss Carter, it seems we have a lot of work ahead of us. Are you ready for the challenge?" Emily nodded, a determined smile on her face. "More than ready, Mr. Price. I believe this is the beginning of something great for Prestige Autos." And so, as the news spread throughout the dealership, causing a mixture of shock, relief, and anticipation among the employees, no one could imagine how deeply that day would change not only Prestige Autos, but also the lives of all involved. The storm had passed, but the ripples of its impact were just beginning to spread. In the weeks following Michael Langford and David Harris's visit, Prestige Autos underwent a whirlwind of transformation, spearheaded by the newly promoted Emily Carter. The first major change was the disciplinary action against John and Peter. William Price, following Langford's instructions, suspended them without pay for 2 weeks and placed them on probation for 6 months. Additionally, they were informed that they would be the first to undergo the new customer service training program. Emily threw herself into her new role with enthusiasm and determination, spending long hours researching best practices in customer service, designing training modules, and preparing to lead the cultural shift at Prestige Autos. One morning, as Emily worked in her new office, the small cubicle that had previously served as a storage room, William entered with a concerned expression. "Emily," he began, "I need your opinion on something." Emily looked up from her computer. "Of course, Mr. Price. What's going on?" William sat across from her, sighing deeply. "It's about John and Peter. Their suspension ends tomorrow, and frankly, I'm not sure if we should allow them back." Emily frowned thoughtfully. "I understand your concern, Mr. Price, but I believe firing them would be a mistake." "Why do you say that?" William asked, surprised. "Well," Emily explained, "if we fire them, we're sending the message that we don't believe in people's ability to change and improve, and that's exactly the opposite of what we're trying to achieve with our new approach." William nodded slowly, considering her words. Emily continued, "Besides, I believe John and Peter could become our greatest success stories. If we can change their attitude, imagine the impact it would have on the rest of the team, seeing the former bad boys become models of customer service." A slight smile appeared on William's face. "You're right, Emily, as always. All right, we'll give them another chance, but they'll be under your direct supervision during the training program." Emily nodded, accepting the challenge. "I won't let you down, Mr. Price." The next day, John and Peter returned to Prestige Autos. The atmosphere was tense as they entered, with their colleagues watching them with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Emily greeted them at the entrance. "Good morning, John, Peter," she said with a professional smile. "Welcome back. Please follow me to the conference room." Once in the room, Emily explained the new training program and the expectations set for them. To her surprise, both men listened attentively, without the arrogant attitude they used to display. "Miss Carter," John said once Emily finished her explanation, "I know Peter and I have been difficult in the past, but we want you to know that we're committed to changing." Peter nodded, adding, "These 2 weeks gave us a lot of time to reflect. We realized that our behavior was not only unprofessional, but also jeopardized the future of everyone at Prestige Autos." Emily looked at them, searching for signs of insincerity, but saw only genuine remorse in their eyes. "I appreciate your honesty," she replied. "This won't be an easy process, but if you're truly committed, I believe we can achieve great things together." As the weeks passed, the change at Prestige Autos became increasingly evident. Emily's training program was bearing fruit, and the employees began adopting a more empathetic and respectful approach with all customers. To the surprise of many, John and Peter became the most dedicated students, their natural competitiveness driving them to excel in the new skills they were learning. One day, as Emily watched John interact with a modest-looking customer, she couldn't help but smile. The salesman was showing the same enthusiasm and respect he would have shown a wealthy executive. "Impressive, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Emily turned to see David Harris, who had entered the dealership unnoticed. "Mr. Harris," Emily greeted, surprised. "I didn't know you were coming today." David smiled. "Michael and I have been closely monitoring Prestige Auto's progress. I must say, Miss Carter, we're very impressed with the changes you've implemented." Emily blushed at the compliment. "Thank you, Mr. Harris. Everyone has been working very hard." "That's evident," David replied. "In fact, Michael is considering using Prestige Autos as a model to implement similar changes in other dealerships." Emily's eyes lit up at the news. "That would be wonderful, Mr. Harris. I firmly believe this approach is not only morally right but also good for business." David nodded, his gaze fixed on Emily with a mixture of admiration and something else she couldn't quite identify. "I agree. And speaking of business, would you like to have dinner with me tonight to discuss some ideas on how we could expand this program?" Emily was surprised by the invitation but found herself nodding before she could think twice. "I'd love that, Mr. Harris." "Excellent," David smiled. "And please call me David." As David said goodbye and left the dealership, Emily couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness, not just about the opportunity to discuss the program's expansion, but also about the prospect of spending time alone with David Harris. What Emily didn't know was that this dinner would mark the beginning of a new phase in her life, one that would bring both opportunities and challenges she never could have imagined. Meanwhile, in his office, William Price reviewed the latest sales reports with a smile of satisfaction. The numbers didn't lie, the new approach was working. Sales had increased, customer reviews were increasingly positive, and the atmosphere at the dealership was better than ever. However, a small part of him couldn't help but feel a twinge of concern. What if Langford Industries decided to take Emily to implement this program in other dealerships? Could Prestige Autos maintain the success without her? William shook his head, trying to rid himself of these negative thoughts, focusing instead on the present success and supporting Emily in every way he could. The future, with all its challenges and opportunities, would come when it had to. And so, as the sun set over another successful day at Prestige Autos, no one could imagine the twists and turns that fate had in store for all of them in the days to come. As the days turned into weeks, Emily continued to lead the transformation at Prestige Autos with unwavering dedication. Her efforts were beginning to ripple beyond the dealership, drawing attention from other businesses and even the media. The dealership became a beacon of change, showcasing how empathy and respect could drive success in the automotive industry. One evening, as Emily prepared for her dinner with David Harris, she found herself reflecting on how much her life had changed in such a short time. From a receptionist to a leader of a transformative movement, she realized that her journey was just beginning. She arrived at the restaurant, an elegant yet cozy place with soft lighting and the gentle hum of conversations in the background. David was already there, waiting for her at a reserved table. "Emily, I'm glad you could make it." David greeted her with a warm smile as he stood to welcome her. "Thank you for the invitation, David," she replied, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. Once seated and with their drinks served, David went straight to the point. "Emily, Michael and I have been discussing the success of the program you've implemented at Prestige Autos. We're very impressed and believe it could have an even greater impact if expanded." Emily nodded, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" "We want to implement your training program in all our dealerships nationwide," David explained. "And we'd like you to lead this effort." Emily almost choked on her water. "Me? But how?" David smiled at her surprise. "You would be responsible for developing a standardized training program based on what you've done at Prestige Autos. You'd travel across the country, training managers and key staff at each dealership. Essentially, you'd be our ambassador for customer service." Emily's mind was racing. It was an incredible opportunity, one she could only have dreamed of a few weeks ago. But it also meant leaving Prestige Autos, the place where it all began. "It's a very generous offer," she finally said, "but I need time to think about it. Prestige Autos has been my home, and I'm not sure I can leave it just like that." David nodded, understanding. "I understand. Take the time you need." He paused, then added, "There's something else you should know." Emily looked at him expectantly. "Michael and I are discussing the possibility of buying Prestige Autos," David revealed. "If that happens, you could keep your base there while traveling to implement the program in other dealerships." This revelation left Emily speechless. It was a lot to process. The rest of the dinner proceeded with a mix of business discussions and personal conversations. Emily found herself enjoying David's company more than she had anticipated. There was a warmth to him that contrasted with his image as a successful businessman. As the night drew to a close and David accompanied her to her car, Emily felt a mix of emotions: excitement for the opportunities opening before her, concern for the changes this would imply, and a growing attraction to David that she couldn't ignore. "Thank you for tonight, David," Emily said as they reached her car. "You've given me a lot to think about." David smiled, his eyes shining in the soft light of the parking lot. "It was a pleasure, Emily. I look forward to your answer, whatever it may be, and I hope we can do this again, regardless of your professional decision." Emily felt a flutter in her stomach at his words. "I'd like that," she replied with a shy smile. As she drove home, Emily couldn't stop thinking about everything that had happened: the job offer, the potential purchase of Prestige Autos, and her emerging feelings for David. She knew she had important decisions to make, decisions that could change the course of her life. The next day at Prestige Autos, Emily found herself distracted, her mind still spinning with the events of the previous night. She was so absorbed in her thoughts that she didn't notice John approaching. "Emily, is everything okay?" John asked, pulling her out of her reverie. Emily blinked, returning to the present. "Oh, John, yes, I'm fine. I just had a lot to think about." John looked at her with concern. "Do you want to talk about it? I know I haven't always been the nicest person, but you've done a lot for all of us. If I can help in any way." Emily was surprised by the offer. It was a testament to how much things had changed at Prestige Autos. "Thank you, John. I really appreciate it. It's just that I might have an opportunity to do something bigger, but it would mean leaving Prestige Autos, at least partially." John nodded understandingly. "I see. It's a tough decision, but Emily, if anyone deserves an opportunity like this, it's you. You've transformed this place and all of us. Maybe it's time to take that change to a bigger stage." John's words touched Emily deeply. "Thank you, John. That means a lot coming from you." As John walked away, Emily realized she had made her decision. It was time to take the next step to bring her mission of change and respect to a broader level. That evening, after speaking with William Price and ensuring that Prestige Autos would be in good hands, Emily called David. "I've made my decision," she said when he answered. "I accept the offer." She could hear the smile in David's voice as he responded. "Excellent, Emily. You won't regret it. How about we meet tomorrow to discuss the details?" "Perfect," Emily replied, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness about what lay ahead. As she hung up the phone, Emily looked out the window at the illuminated city, realizing she was on the brink of a new chapter in her life, full of promise and challenges. And while she didn't know exactly what the future held, she was ready to face it with the same determination and empathy she had shown at Prestige Autos. What Emily didn't know was that her decision would trigger a series of events that would not only change her life and those around her, but also have a lasting impact on the entire automotive industry. The journey she was about to embark on would be more exciting, challenging, and rewarding than she could ever have imagined. And so, as the night progressed, Emily prepared to take the leap into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges destiny had in store for her. The changes she had initiated at Prestige Autos were just the beginning of something much larger. In the months that followed, Emily embraced her new role as the ambassador of customer service for Langford Industries. Her mission took her across the country, visiting dealerships and sharing her vision of a more human and respectful approach to the automotive business. Initially, she faced resistance from some dealerships. Veteran salespeople and skeptical managers questioned the need to change their tried-and-true methods. However, Emily's determination and empathy, coupled with tangible results from Prestige Autos, gradually won them over. One afternoon, while presenting her program at a dealership in Chicago, Emily faced a particularly skeptical group. The branch manager, a man named Robert Jenkins, looked at her with thinly veiled disdain. "Miss Carter," Robert interrupted during her presentation, "this all sounds very nice, but we sell cars, not hugs. How do you expect us to maintain our sales numbers if we spend all day being nice to people who can't even afford our vehicles?" Emily took a deep breath, recalling her early days at Prestige Autos. "Mr. Jenkins, I understand your concern, but let me ask you this. How many sales have you lost because a potential customer was treated with disdain based on their appearance?" Robert frowned, clearly uncomfortable. Emily continued, "At Prestige Autos, we increased our sales by 30% in the first 6 months after implementing this program. Not only that, but our customer satisfaction rate skyrocketed, leading to more referrals and repeat customers." She paused, looking directly into Robert's eyes. "This program isn't just about being nice. It's about building lasting relationships with customers, creating a reputation that attracts more people to your dealership. It's about seeing each person who walks through that door as a human being, not just a walking wallet." The silence that followed was broken by one of the younger salespeople. "I think she's right," he said timidly. "Last week, a man in shabby clothes came in, and we all ignored him. It turns out he was a local businessman looking to buy a fleet of vehicles for his company. We were so rude that he went to the competition." Robert paled at this revelation. Emily seized the moment. "Gentlemen, I ask you to give this program a chance. Implement it for 3 months. If you don't see positive results, you can go back to your old ways. What do you say?" Slowly, the faces in the room began to show signs of acceptance. Even Robert, though still reluctant, nodded slowly. "All right, Miss Carter, we'll try it your way." That night, exhausted but satisfied, Emily called David to report on her progress. "That's fantastic, Emily," David exclaimed after hearing about her success in Chicago. "I knew you could do it. You're changing the industry, one dealership at a time." Emily smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest at David's enthusiasm. "Thank you for believing in me, David. I couldn't do this without your support." There was a pause on the line before David spoke again, his voice softer. "Emily, I've been thinking. It's been months since we had dinner together. What do you say we meet up when you're back in town? There's something important I'd like to discuss with you." Emily's heart skipped a beat. "I'd love that, David. I'll be back next weekend." After hanging up, Emily gazed out the window of her hotel room, watching the city lights twinkle. She thought about how much her life had changed in such a short time, from receptionist to leader of a movement for change across the industry, and now this growing connection with David. Her thoughts were interrupted by a ping from her phone. It was a message from John. "Emily, you won't believe this. Prestige Autos just won the award for Best Customer Service at the annual Automotive Industry Convention. All thanks to you. Everyone here misses you, but we're proud of what you're accomplishing. Keep it up, boss. Emily felt tears welling up in her eyes. John's message was a tangible reminder of the impact she was having, not just on the business, but on people. The days that followed were a blur of presentations, training sessions, and one-on-one conversations with skeptical employees. But with each passing day, Emily could see how the seeds of change were beginning to take root. Finally, the day of her return home arrived. As the plane touched down, Emily felt a mix of excitement and nervousness at the prospect of her dinner with David. That evening, as she prepared for the dinner, Emily found herself paying more attention to her appearance than usual. She donned an elegant black dress and applied a touch of makeup, something she rarely did during her business trips. When she arrived at the restaurant, David was already there, waiting for her with a smile that made her heart leap. "Emily," he said, standing to greet her with a kiss on the cheek, "you look beautiful." Emily blushed. "Thank you, David. You look great, too." Once seated and with their drinks served, David looked at her with an intensity that made her catch her breath. "Emily," he began, "what you've achieved these past months is nothing short of extraordinary. You've transformed entire dealerships, changed the way people think about customer service in our industry." He paused, taking a sip of his wine before continuing. "But that's not what I wanted to talk about tonight." Emily looked at him, intrigued. "No?" David shook his head. "No, Emily. These months working together, seeing you change people's lives with your compassion and determination, made me realize something." He leaned forward, taking her hand across the table. "I've fallen in love with you." The world seemed to stop for a moment. Emily felt her heart pounding in her chest. "David," but before she could respond, David's phone rang urgently. He glanced at the screen and frowned. "I'm sorry, I have to take this." "It's Michael," he said, rising from the table. Emily nodded, still dazed by David's confession, and watched as he spoke on the phone, his expression shifting from concern to shock. When he returned to the table, his face was pale. "Emily, there's a problem." "A big problem." "What happened?" she asked, worry replacing her confusion. David took a deep breath before responding. "It's Prestige Autos. There's been a scandal. Someone leaked information about unethical practices supposedly happening there, behind everyone's backs." Emily felt as if she'd been punched in the stomach. "What? But how is that possible? We worked so hard to change things there." David shook his head. "I don't know, but this could destroy everything we've built, not just at Prestige Autos, but in all the dealerships where you've implemented your program." Emily sat in silence for a moment, processing the information. Then, with a determination that surprised even David, she said, "We need to go back now. We need to find out what's happening and fix this." David nodded, a small smile appearing on his face despite the gravity of the situation. "That's the Emily I know, always ready to face any challenge." As they hurried out of the restaurant, Emily knew they were about to face their greatest test yet. The scandal at Prestige Autos threatened to unravel everything they had accomplished, but as she walked alongside David, she felt the strange mix of fear and confidence. Whatever awaited them, they would face this new challenge together. And in that moment, Emily realized that she, too, had fallen in love with David. With her heart racing from the mix of emotions and adrenaline, Emily and David headed into the unknown, ready to fight for everything they had built and the future they were just beginning to envision together. As dawn broke the next day, Emily and David arrived at Prestige Autos, where a crowd of reporters and onlookers had gathered, drawn by the unfolding scandal. The dealership, once a symbol of transformation, was now under intense scrutiny. "This is worse than I thought," David murmured, helping Emily out of the car. At the entrance, William Price awaited them, looking defeated. "Emily, David, thank goodness you're here," he said, his voice heavy with relief. Inside his office, away from the chaos outside, William explained the situation. "Last night, someone leaked to the press allegations of fraudulent practices at Prestige Autos, odometer tampering, concealing defects in used cars, even bribing inspectors." Emily sank into a chair, stunned. "But that's impossible. We've worked so hard to change the culture here." "I know," William said, running a hand through his graying hair. "I swear I had no idea this was happening." David, who had been silent until now, asked, "Do you have any idea who might have leaked this information?" William shook his head. "No, but whoever it was had access to very detailed information. It has to be someone from the inside." At that moment, a knock on the door interrupted their conversation. It was John, with a determined expression on his face. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, "but I think I know who's behind all this." The three of them turned to him expectantly. John took a deep breath before continuing, "It's Peter. I overheard him on the phone last night, bragging about how he had sunk Prestige Autos." Emily shot to her feet. "Peter? But why would he do something like this?" "I think he was resentful," John explained. "He never really accepted the changes we implemented. He always complained that he earned less commission with the new system." David frowned. "But that doesn't explain how he got information about practices supposedly occurring after we implemented the changes." A heavy silence filled the room as they all processed this information. It was Emily who finally broke the silence. "Unless," she began, her mind racing, "unless those fraudulent practices never actually occurred." Everyone's eyes widened with understanding. "Of course," William exclaimed. "Peter could have fabricated this information. He knows enough about the business to make it seem credible. But why would he go to such lengths?" David asked. John lowered his gaze, ashamed. "I think I know why. A few weeks ago, I overheard Peter talking to someone from Elite Motors, our main competitor. I think they offered him a job if he could discredit Prestige Autos." Emily stood up, a new determination shining in her eyes. "We need proof. If we can demonstrate that Peter fabricated this information, we can clear the scandal." "You're right," David agreed. "John, do you think you could find any evidence on Peter's phone or computer?" John nodded. "I can try. I know his password for the dealership system." "Do it," William ordered, "but be discreet. We don't want Peter to suspect anything." As John left the office, Emily turned to David. "We need a plan to manage the fallout. We can't let this story keep growing unchecked." David smiled, admiring Emily's resolve. "You're right. Let's hold a press conference. We'll show transparency and our commitment to ethics. That will buy us some time while we gather the evidence." The following hours were a whirlwind of activity. While John searched for evidence, Emily and David prepared a statement for the press, and William worked to reassure worried staff members. Just before the scheduled press conference, John burst into the office, breathless but triumphant. "I got it," he said, holding up a flash drive. Emails between Peter and the manager of Elite Motors, detailed plans to fabricate the scandal, even a promise of payment once Prestige Autos fell. Emily felt a weight lift from her shoulders. "You're a hero, John." With the evidence in hand, Emily and David stepped out to face the press. The conference was intense, with journalists firing aggressive questions, but Emily, with her characteristic calm and honesty, managed the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "we have discovered that the accusations against Prestige Autos are completely false. They were fabricated by a disgruntled former employee in collaboration with our competition." A murmur ran through the crowd of journalists. "We have proof," Emily continued, demonstrating not only Prestige Autos' innocence but also the conspiracy behind these false accusations. "We are handing over all this information to the appropriate authorities to take necessary action." David stepped forward. "Furthermore, we want to reaffirm our commitment to ethics and customer service. The program implemented by Ms. Carter has not only improved our business practices, but also transformed our company culture. We invite anyone interested to visit our facilities and see for themselves how we operate." Questions rained down on them, but Emily and David handled them with poise and firmness. By the end of the conference, the tone of the media coverage had shifted noticeably. What began as a devastating scandal was turning into a story of integrity and resilience in the face of unfair competition. Meanwhile, the police were notified, and Peter was detained for questioning. The evidence was overwhelming, and he soon confessed to his role in the plot. In the weeks that followed, Prestige Autos not only recovered from the scandal, but emerged stronger than ever. The transparency and integrity shown during the crisis attracted more customers, and sales soared to record levels. A month after the incident, Emily was in her new office at Langford Industries headquarters. She had been promoted to Director of Corporate Culture and Customer Service, responsible for implementing her program across all the company's associated dealerships. While reviewing some reports, a knock on the door made her look up. It was David. "Do you have a moment?" he asked with a smile. "For you always," Emily replied, feeling butterflies in her stomach as always when she saw him. David entered and closed the door behind him. "I've been thinking about our interrupted dinner," he said, approaching her desk. Emily felt her heart race. "I've been thinking about it a lot, too." David took her hands in his. Emily, these past months have been crazy. Scandals, challenges, changes. But in the midst of it all, my love for you has only grown. You are the most incredible person I've ever met. Your compassion, your determination, your integrity, they inspire me to be better every day. Emily felt tears welling up in her eyes. David, Wait, he interrupted gently. Let me finish. He knelt before her, pulling a small box from his pocket. Emily Carter, would you do me the honor of marrying me? Emily felt the world stop for a moment. Then, with tears of joy streaming down her cheeks, she nodded. Yes, David. Yes, I will marry you. David slipped the ring onto her finger and stood to kiss her. In that moment, everything they had been through, all the challenges and triumphs, seemed like the perfect path that had led them to this moment. Days later, at Prestige Autos, Emily and David gathered all the staff to share the news not only of their engagement but also of future plans for the company. Thanks to all of you, Emily said, for believing in this vision of a business based on respect and empathy. You've shown that it's possible to succeed without compromising our values. David continued, and that's why we've decided to make Prestige Autos the showcase of our new approach. We're going to expand this dealership and transform it into a training center for all our branches. Applause and cheers filled the room. John approached to congratulate the couple. I can never thank you enough for the opportunity you gave me, he said. You changed my life. Emily hugged him. You changed ours too, John. Everyone here is part of this transformation. As they watched the celebration around them, Emily and David exchanged a look of love and complicity. They had faced incredible challenges, but together, they had not only overcome every obstacle, but also transformed an entire industry. The future stretched before them, full of promises and new challenges, but with the love they shared and the support of those around them, they knew they could face anything destiny had in store. And so, as the sun set on another day at Prestige Autos, Emily reflected on the incredible journey that had taken her from a simple receptionist to the architect of a revolutionary change in the automotive industry. Her story was a testament to the power of kindness, integrity, and perseverance. As David held her hand, Emily knew that this was not the end of her story, but just the beginning of a new and exciting chapter. As the months rolled on, Emily and David continued to lead the charge in transforming not only Prestige Autos, but also the broader automotive industry. Their journey, marked by determination and innovation, had turned Prestige Autos into a beacon of customer-centric business practices. Emily's role as Director of Corporate Culture and Customer Service at Langford Industries allowed her to implement her successful program across the nation. She traveled extensively, sharing her vision and inspiring others to adopt a more empathetic approach to customer service. Her efforts were recognized at industry conferences, and she became a sought-after speaker, sharing the story of Prestige Autos' remarkable turnaround. Back at Prestige Autos, the dealership thrived under the new model. The training center they established became a hub of learning and development for employees across Langford Industries. John, now a senior trainer, shared his journey with new recruits, exemplifying how change was possible with the right mindset and support. Emily and David's personal lives flourished alongside their professional success. Their wedding was a beautiful celebration, attended by family, friends, and colleagues who had supported them throughout their journey. The ceremony was held at a picturesque vineyard, symbolizing growth and new beginnings. As they exchanged vows, Emily and David knew they were committing not only to each other, but to a shared vision of integrity and respect in both their personal and professional lives. As the years passed, Emily and David continued to innovate and adapt, ensuring that their business practices remained relevant and impactful. They expanded their influence beyond the automotive industry, consulting with companies in various sectors to help them implement similar customer-focused strategies. Their success attracted media attention, and they were featured in business magazines and news programs, hailed as pioneers of a new era in customer service. Despite the accolades, Emily and David remained grounded, always attributing their success to the collective efforts of their team and the foundational values that guided them. Looking back, Emily often reflected on how far they had come. From the challenges of Prestige Autos to the scandal that tested their resolve, each experience had strengthened their commitment to their mission. The lessons they learned about empathy, resilience, and the power of transformation continue to guide them. With each new challenge, Emily and David embraced the opportunity to learn and grow, confident that their journey was far from over. They knew that the path they had chosen was not always easy, but was undeniably rewarding. As they stood together on the balcony of their home, Overlooking the city that had witnessed their journey, Emily and David felt a profound sense of gratitude. They had built a life and a legacy that reflected their deepest values, and they were ready to face whatever the future held, hand in hand. And so, as the sun set on another day, Emily and David looked forward to the future with hope and excitement, knowing that their story was just one chapter in a much larger narrative of change and possibility. Their journey was a testament to the power of vision, love, and unwavering commitment to making the world a better place, one respectful interaction at a time. In the years that followed, Emily and David's influence continued to expand beyond the automotive world. They became advocates for ethical business practices and were invited to speak at global forums on sustainable and humane business models. Their story inspired countless others to rethink how businesses could operate, emphasizing the importance of empathy and integrity in achieving success. Langford Industries thrived under their leadership, with Prestige Autos serving as a model for other dealerships and companies. The training center they had established became renowned for its innovative approaches to customer service and employee engagement, attracting business leaders from around the world eager to learn from their success. Emily and David also dedicated time to philanthropy, channeling their resources into initiatives that supported education and community development. They established a foundation focused on providing scholarships to students pursuing careers in business ethics and social entrepreneurship, ensuring that future generations could continue their mission of positive change. Their personal life remained as fulfilling as their professional endeavors. They traveled extensively, both for work and pleasure, exploring new cultures and gaining fresh perspectives that enriched their lives and work. Their bond grew stronger with each passing year, rooted in mutual respect and a shared vision for the future. As they celebrated milestones, such as the 10th anniversary of their transformative work at Prestige Autos, Emily and David often took time to reflect on their journey. They remembered the challenges they had faced and the triumphs they had achieved, grateful for the lessons learned and the people who had supported them along the way. Their story became a beacon of hope for those seeking to create meaningful change in their own lives and organizations. Emily and David proved that with determination, empathy, and a commitment to core values, it was possible to build successful businesses that also made a positive impact on society. As they stood on the cusp of new adventures, Emily and David knew that their work was far from finished. They remained dedicated to pushing boundaries and exploring innovative ways to foster a more compassionate and sustainable world. Together, they looked to the future with optimism, ready to embrace whatever came next, confident in their ability to navigate the complexities of life and business with grace and integrity. Their journey was a testament to the power of love, vision, and unwavering dedication to making a difference, leaving a lasting legacy that would inspire generations to come. As Emily and David continued to forge their path, they found themselves increasingly drawn to the idea of expanding their influence through education and mentorship. Recognizing the power of knowledge and experience, they decided to establish a leadership institute dedicated to training future business leaders in ethical practices and empathetic management. The institute, nestled in a serene location surrounded by nature, became a haven for learning and innovation. It attracted a diverse group of students and professionals eager to learn from Emily and David's experiences and insights. The curriculum was designed to challenge conventional business paradigms, encouraging participants to think creatively about how to integrate compassion and ethics into their work. Emily and David personally led many of the sessions, sharing anecdotes from their journey and facilitating discussions on the importance of values-driven leadership. They invited guest speakers from various industries who had successfully implemented ethical practices, providing a well-rounded perspective on the challenges and opportunities in different sectors. The Institute quickly gained a reputation for excellence, with graduates going on to lead transformative initiatives in their respective fields. Alumni often returned to share their own stories of success and growth, creating a vibrant community committed to positive change. Beyond the Institute, Emily and David continued to explore new ventures. They co-authored a book detailing their journey and the principles that guided their work, which became a bestseller and was translated into multiple languages. The book served as both a memoir and a guide, offering practical advice for anyone looking to make a meaningful impact in their organization or community. Emily and David also became involved in policy advocacy, working with governments and international organizations to promote ethical business standards and practices. Their efforts contributed to the development of new regulations and initiatives aimed at fostering transparency, accountability, and social responsibility in business. Through it all, Emily and David remained grounded by their shared values and love for each other. They balanced their professional commitments with personal time, ensuring they nurtured their relationship and enjoyed life's simple pleasures. Whether hiking in the mountains, volunteering in local communities, or spending quiet evenings at home, they cherished every moment together. As they looked to the future, Emily and David knew that their journey was about more than just their own success. It was about creating a ripple effect that would inspire others to pursue ethical and compassionate paths, ultimately leading to a more just and equitable world. Their legacy, built on the foundation of respect, empathy, and unwavering integrity, was a testament to the power of visionary leadership and the profound impact it could have on individuals, organizations, and society as a whole. With each new day, Emily and David remained committed to their mission, knowing that the work they were doing would continue to resonate for generations to come. As the Leadership Institute flourished, Emily and David found themselves surrounded by a growing network of like-minded individuals dedicated to fostering positive change. Their influence began to extend beyond business, touching areas such as environmental sustainability, social justice, and community development. Realizing the interconnectedness of these issues, Emily and David launched a series of initiatives aimed at addressing some of the world's most pressing challenges. They established partnerships with nonprofits and grassroots organizations, leveraging their resources and expertise to support projects that aligned with their values. One such initiative focused on sustainable urban development. Emily and David worked with city planners, architects, and local communities to design neighborhoods that prioritized green spaces, renewable energy, and affordable housing. Their efforts not only improved the quality of life for residents, but also served as a model for cities around the world seeking to balance growth with environmental stewardship. In the realm of social justice, Emily and David championed programs that provided education and job training for marginalized communities. They funded scholarships for underrepresented students and supported mentorship programs that connected young people with leaders in various industries. These efforts helped to break down barriers and create opportunities for individuals who had been historically excluded from economic advancement. Their commitment to community development was equally strong. Emily and David invested in local businesses, promoting entrepreneurship and innovation in areas that had been economically neglected. By supporting small businesses and startups, they helped to revitalize communities and create jobs, fostering a sense of pride and ownership among residents. Throughout these endeavors, Emily and David remained passionate about sharing their knowledge and experiences. They continued to speak at conferences and workshops, inspiring others to think creatively about how they could contribute to a better world. Their message of hope and possibility resonated with audiences of all ages, encouraging them to take action and make a difference in their own unique ways. As they reflected on their journey, Emily and David felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had built a life and a legacy that not only reflected their values, but also empowered others to pursue their dreams and aspirations. Their work had sparked a movement, one that was driven by the belief that business could be a force for good and that meaningful change was possible when people came together with a shared purpose. Looking forward, Emily and David remained committed to their mission, knowing that there was still much to be done. They embraced the future with open hearts and minds, ready to tackle new challenges and explore new opportunities. In their quiet moments, they often marveled at how far they had come. From a simple idea of transforming a single dealership to leading a global movement for ethical business practices. Their story was a testament to the power of vision, perseverance, and love, and as they continued their journey, they did so with the knowledge that the best was yet to come. As Emily and David's initiatives continued to gain momentum, they found themselves at the forefront of a global dialogue about the role of business in society. Their Leadership Institute became a hub for thought leaders and changemakers from around the world, fostering collaboration and innovation across sectors. The couple decided to host an annual summit, bringing together experts, activists, and visionaries to share ideas and forge partnerships. The summit quickly became a landmark event, known for its dynamic discussions and actionable outcomes. Attendees left inspired and equipped with new strategies to implement in their own communities and organizations. One of the most impactful projects to emerge from the summit was a global mentorship program. Emily and David paired young leaders from diverse backgrounds with seasoned professionals, creating a network of support and learning that transcended geographical and cultural boundaries. This program not only empowered the next generation but also enriched the mentors, who gained fresh perspectives and renewed motivation. Meanwhile, their work in sustainable urban development expanded into new territories. Emily and David collaborated with international agencies to pilot eco-friendly communities in developing countries, focusing on innovative solutions to common challenges such as access to clean water, waste management, and energy efficiency. These projects demonstrated that sustainable living could be both feasible and affordable, setting new standards for urban planning worldwide. In addition to their professional endeavors, Emily and David found joy in their personal lives. They traveled to remote corners of the globe, exploring cultures and landscapes that deepened their appreciation for the world's diversity. These journeys often sparked new ideas for their work, reinforcing the interconnectedness of their mission. Their relationship, grounded in mutual respect and shared values, continued to thrive. They support each other through the highs and lows of their endeavors, celebrating successes and navigating challenges together. Their love story, woven into the fabric of their professional accomplishments, inspired many who crossed their path. As they looked to the future, Emily and David remained committed to their vision of a world where businesses acted as stewards of positive change. They knew that their journey was part of a larger movement, one that required the collective efforts of individuals and organizations dedicated to creating a more equitable and sustainable world. Reflecting on their journey, they felt a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunities they had been given and the impact they had made. They understood that their legacy was not just in the programs they had built or the awards they had won, but in the lives they had touched and the hope they had inspired. With each new day, Emily and David embraced the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead, confident in their ability to make a difference. They knew that the path they had chosen was not always easy, but was undeniably rewarding. Together, they continued to dream big, act boldly, and inspire others to join them in building a brighter future for all. As Emily and David's influence grew, they decided to expand their efforts into education by establishing a scholarship fund dedicated to supporting students pursuing studies in sustainable business practices and ethical leadership. This fund aimed to nurture future leaders who would carry forward the torch of integrity and innovation in various industries. The scholarship attracted talented individuals from around the globe, each with a unique vision for how they could contribute to a better world. Emily and David took a hands-on approach, mentoring these students and providing them with opportunities to intern at Langford Industries or partner organizations. This personal investment in the next generation ensured that their values and lessons were passed on effectively. Meanwhile, the annual summit they hosted continued to grow, becoming a vibrant platform for launching collaborative projects. The event sparked numerous initiatives, from tech-driven solutions for clean energy to grassroots movements focused on community empowerment. Each year, the summit culminated in actionable commitments, with participants pledging to take specific steps toward achieving their goals. One particularly memorable summit featured a keynote address from a young activist who had been part of Emily and David's mentorship program. Her story of overcoming adversity and driving change in her local community moved many to tears and inspired a wave of support for her initiatives. This moment underscored the profound impact of Emily and David's work, highlighting the ripple effect of their commitment to nurturing leaders. As they continue their journey, Emily and David also focused on their personal lives, finding balance amidst their busy schedules. They cherished their time together, often retreating to a quiet cabin in the mountains where they could disconnect from the world and reflect on their journey. These moments of solitude provided them with clarity and renewed energy, fueling their passion for their work. Their love for each other remained a constant source of strength and joy. Whether they were brainstorming new projects, exploring new cultures, or simply enjoying a quiet evening at home, Emily and David's partnership was rooted in a deep understanding and shared vision. Looking ahead, they were excited about the possibilities that lay before them. They envisioned expanding their educational initiatives, creating more opportunities for collaboration, and continuing to advocate for ethical practices across industries. They were committed to leaving a legacy that would inspire future generations to dream big and act with compassion and integrity. As Emily and David stood on the balcony of their home, overlooking the city that had been the backdrop to their incredible journey, they felt a profound sense of fulfillment. They had built a life and a legacy that reflected their deepest values, and they were ready to embrace whatever the future held, knowing they would face it together. Their journey was a testament to the power of vision, perseverance, and love. As they continued to inspire others with their story, Emily and David knew that the best was yet to come, and they were excited to see where their path would lead next. As the years passed, Emily and David's legacy continued to grow, touching countless lives and inspiring positive change around the world. Their leadership institute flourished, producing a new generation of ethical leaders who carried forward their mission of compassion and integrity in business. The scholarship program they established became a cornerstone of their work, empowering students from diverse backgrounds to pursue their dreams and drive meaningful change in their communities. Many of these scholars went on to become influential figures in their own right, creating a ripple effect of positive impact that extended far beyond what Emily and David could have imagined. Their annual summit evolved into a global gathering of thought leaders and changemakers, known for sparking innovative solutions to the world's most pressing challenges. Each year, the event served as a catalyst for new partnerships and initiatives, reinforcing the power of collaboration and shared vision. Emily and David's personal lives remained rich and fulfilling, grounded in their enduring love and shared commitment to their mission. They continued to travel, explore, and learn, drawing inspiration from the people and places they encountered along the way. As they reflected on their journey, Emily and David felt a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunities they had been given and the impact they had made. They understood that their story was just one part of a larger movement, a testament to what could be achieved when individuals came together with a common purpose. In their later years, Emily and David chose to step back from the day-to-day operations of their initiatives, entrusting the leadership to a new generation of passionate individuals who shared their values and vision. They remained active as advisors and mentors, always eager to support and guide those who followed in their footsteps. Their legacy, built on the foundation of respect, empathy, and unwavering integrity, continued to inspire and empower people around the world. Emily and David had shown that business could be a force for good and that meaningful change was possible when driven by love and compassion. As they looked to the future, Emily and David knew that their work would continue to resonate for generations to come. They had created a lasting impact, not only in the business world, but in the hearts and minds of everyone they had touched. Together, they faced the twilight of their journey with peace and fulfillment, knowing they had lived a life of purpose and had left the world a better place than they had found it. Their story was a testament to the power of vision, perseverance, and love, a legacy that would endure long after they were gone, inspiring others to dream, act, and create a brighter future for all.